How was the visit here in Bucharest?
Wonderful. This is a presidential visit. So the visit was headed by the Israeli president, Mr. Rivlin, and it started on Tuesday. So this is the last day of the visit. Normally, when the president is traveling abroad, he likes that a business delegation will accompany him. The reason for that is because the president, and like the Israeli government, sees economic and trade relations as a very important vertical or element in the relations between, of an element of the bilateral relations between Israel and Romania. About 30 Israeli companies accompanied the president. And these companies are coming from sectors like homeland security, cybersecurity, agriculture, health, smart cities. And during the visit, we were trying to, together with the Romanian Chamber of Commerce, together with the Romania-Israel Chamber of Commerce, to make business interactions between Israeli companies and Romanian companies, to provide them the opportunity to build partnership and cooperation.
And did you have a specific result? Did you sign a contract or a partnership during this visit?
So normally when we are traveling, we are trying to see what kind of an agreement is missing in the relations between Israel and the other country that we are going. But interestingly enough, the interaction between Israel and Romania in the past few years has been so intensive that we covered all the agreements already before the visit. So there was no need for a government-to-government agreement. Nevertheless, some of the Israeli companies that came to Romania, this was their first time to visit Romania, so it was totally fresh and new market for them. Others have already established some relations before, and some of them have long relations in Romania. So I assume that it's as the visit started only on Tuesday, business does not happen like that. It takes time, but from our understanding, from talking to the companies, some of them feel that that in the coming weeks or coming months there will be some deals between Israel and Romania in different fields.
So they established that they will meet again and develop something together.
Exactly. Some of them actually, they met each other yesterday, and today they already decided to meet again, which is a very good signal.
Yes, that's right. Which are the most attractive sectors in Romania for Israeli investments?
I think that I can tell you what are the Israeli strengths, and this will reflect about the opportunities in Romania. So Israel is a small country. It's less than 10 million people. It's about half of the people that are in Romania. In Israel, we have a very good strength in the software industry, which is cybersecurity, financial technologies, applications, all this, everything around the software industry. About 1/4 of our exports is in software. In Romania, there is a very strong and very skilled human force, human capital. And software industry does not need land, does not need water, does not need buildings. It needs people. It needs people's brains. And I think that with the human capital that there is in Romania and the capabilities and the very high education system that there is in Romania, together with the Israeli strength, I think that we can have a very good combination. So this is one sector that I would foresee. The other one is agriculture, from software to agriculture. But agriculture in Israel is a high tech. It's with a country that we don't have enough water, we don't have enough rain, no precipitation. 30% of our land is desert. You need technology. Otherwise, you are not able to compete with the world. And I think that in Romania, at least we import a lot of agricultural products from Romania. I think that over there is another room for cooperation to see how do you bring the Romanian capabilities and the Israeli capabilities and make a joint venture to increase the productivity of products. Another thing that Israel is relatively good, and it is going to be a problem of the world, not only of Israel and Romania, is water. We have more and more people and not enough water. And even though you have here rain and you have lakes, etc., you need more. You need more water. And in Israel, we have actually two seas. One is called the Dead Sea, which is a very salty sea, and the other one is called the Sea of Galilee, but it's not really a sea. It's a lake, and today it's rather full with water. But we used to have years when we didn't have enough water, and it was shrinking and shrinking. So we say that we have one dead sea and one dying sea. So we desalinate water. We are taking water from the sea and desalinate them and make them a potable water. And today about 50% of Israel's potable water is desalinated. So I think that over there is another room for cooperation. How do you manage the water system? How do you make sure that you're not you are using the water in a smart way, in an efficient way? So this is another room for cooperation.
Can you tell us which are the strong parts of the Romanian economy?
Yes, the advantages of the Romanian economy. So as I said before, the human capital. We have Israeli students learning in Romanian universities, and they have possibilities to learn everywhere in the world, and still they decided to learn in Romania. So
why is that?
I don't know, but
it's a tradition.
But no, I don't think so. But they probably found the Romanian education system as a good one. Otherwise, they would not study here. This is the advantage of free market. The market speaks for itself. So this is one thing. Secondly, is the fact that Romania is part of the European Union. I think it is an advantage for Romania, especially as a small country. You have access to a very large market. This is I see it as in spite of the fact that sometimes you have restrictions because you're not as free as you would like to be, but I think that overall, from a foreign person, I would say that this is an advantage. I would say that the fact that Romania is part of the European Union, on one hand, give you what we call a European standard stability, legal framework in many aspects, and on the other hand, it gives you the flexibility to be able to, where there is no one Brussels standards, still to be able to do something that will make Romania more attractive.
And which are the weakest parts?
Let's say the challenges that Romania has. Okay, I don't want to give grades to Romania. So I would say the fact that Romania is a small country, it's more difficult to attract foreign investments when you're a small country. It's this is one challenge that Israel is facing as well. And you probably heard about the global tax reform, the 15%, what was declared in G7. So this is a challenge for small economies because in the past you could you could have a very attractive tax investments. And today you have to take into consideration this. So this is a challenge for Romania, but also for Israel. By the way, if I can go back to one advantage of Romania is the fact that it's not expensive yet. It will probably become more expensive in the future, but today, the fact that you can have an educated workforce in relatively reasonable prices, it's an advantage. And you know, if I was Romania, I would use this. The fact that, well, I'm still not expensive compared to other countries with a skilled workforce, I would definitely put it as one of my advantages.
If you would have been a businessman with a lot of money, where would you put it in the Romanian economy?
So I'm not a businessman and I don't have a lot of money, but I would probably look on the advantages that I was speaking before. So where do I have a competitive advantage in an industry that Romania can offer? So if Romania has a skilled workforce and in relatively lower prices than in other countries in the European Union, I would use this opportunity definitely, at least for the midterm time. I think that software, absolutely. Because COVID-19 showed us that we can all work from home, that you don't need real estate, you don't need to mobilize people. You know, people can work from everywhere, and if you have the right software, the right means, the right protocols of work, you don't need to start moving people from all over the place and pay them transfer fees and etc. You know, work wherever you are, and you can. You know, everyone is using Zoom. Everyone is using, and the interesting thing is, Zoom was before COVID-19, but no one used it. So I think that you know, I'm always looking at this half of the glass and not on this one, because this is the only one that you can drink from, and I'm saying, you know, this is, you know, if I'm looking at the full half of the glass, half full of the glass, it's the COVID-19 showed us that we can do things in another way, and software is the perfect industry to use a human workforce, and I think that this is one of the advantages of Romania and Israel as well.
So if we are so smart as you're saying, we should do more about this as a country. Again, I don't want to give great or advices to Romania, but I'm just saying that you know, look, you know, our president said a very nice phrase. He said that we are looking at the challenge from an opportunity perspective. You know, so we say, okay, this is a challenge, but let's make it an opportunity. And I think that this is the right way to do that. Israel is a champion country in the vaccination campaign. How did this help the economy in the last months?
Very much. So it's, the fact that today about 60% of the Israeli population have already been vaccinated, and we are now starting to vaccinate our children. But this is not mandatory, it's voluntary. So I have 2 children, I have 3, but one is already been vaccinated, and I have 2 twins, they are 15 years old. And actually this morning my wife vaccinated, I took them to the doctor to be vaccinated. Israel today, if you come to Israel, it's totally open. And from Tuesday, we don't need a mask anymore. It absolutely opened the economy. It opened the hotels, restaurants. Everything is wide open. Factories, businesses are operating like they operated before COVID-19. The only sector that it is still closed is tourism, because as long as the world is not being vaccinated, and as long as we don't have enough information about the different variants, we need to be careful, because it took us time to reach the level where the country is open and free. We don't want to ruin it.
And nowadays, how can Romanian people go to visit Israel? They need a vaccine, a certificate or a test, or?
Yes, they need to do a PCR test before they arrive. They must be vaccinated. If they're not vaccinated, they cannot come to Israel. So
vaccinated and PCR test together.
And when they arrive to Israel, they need to do another PCR test. But again, I think if I was a Romanian business person traveling to Israel, okay, so it costs a little bit money, but health is more expensive. So I want to make sure that I'm in good health. So I think it's reasonable at this period of time. I believe that once people will be more vaccinated, and again we'll have more information, I think that some of the restrictions may be removed, but not now, not yet.
Did you sign an agreement with the Romanian authorities on the tourism part, that Romanian people to go to Israel, or Israeli people to come here? Not yet.
No. We started the Ministry of Tourism in Israel started a pilot program to have few groups. We want to see how it works. We want to have experience before we open our borders. So again, we need to take it step by step. It's better to be safe than sorry. So.
How do you think the world commerce changed with the COVID-19 crisis?
First of all, transportation has been more expensive. Sea transportation has been much more expensive than it used to be. In Israel, the prices have been almost tripled, which is very, very expensive. And the fact that there aren't as many flights as there used to be. We normally think that when we are traveling, then in the belly of the airplane there are only our suitcases. But in addition to our suitcases, there is a lot of cargo going on the planes. And in the past, a lot of the cargo was moved by air. And today, because you don't have enough air traffic, some of them moved into the sea. And this raised the cost. And the fact that we are still under COVID-19 restrictions, the ports are not operating as they used to operate. So it's like the perfect storm. And together with the problem in the Suez Canal a few weeks ago, this was really the perfect storm.
And when do you see total recovery of this, a total resolve of the problem?
It will take a few months, I believe, and it's very much dependent on COVID-19. I mean, if the vaccination is, if the world will be vaccinated, and it will be proved that the vaccine is the remedy, is the cure, for this COVID-19, then I believe that within, by the end of the year, at least most of things will come back to pre-COVID-19. But if God forbids, and suddenly there will be a new variant that the vaccine is not resisting it, then we may have a challenge. So we need to be very carefully optimistic.
That's right. And how will the world look like after this?
I think we need to look at it from the short term and mid-term. I mean, in the short term, business travels will be limited. I mean, people will not travel as they used to be. Definitely touristic travels. People in Israel, we are suddenly exploring our own country. You know, we are suddenly going to places that they were there before, but we didn't go. But today, you know, the parks and the hotels in Israel, they are full because we are traveling in our own country. Secondly, for example, exhibitions that used to be a very important part of marketing, they will come back slowly. Again, people will be more careful, you know, traveling into an exhibition. You know, it's closed space, many people from all around the world, and I think that one of the important things of the world is to create standards, global standards. Who can enter a country, who cannot enter a country? Some kind of like, in Israel we have an application, we call it a green passport, saying that, you know, if you want to, I mean, from Tuesday we don't need it anymore, but before that, if you want to go to a restaurant, you need to show it, and then you could enter a restaurant. It shows that you are vaccinated, and the vaccine is valid until this and this time, and this is, you know, with your ID card. So, and with that, you know, you just show it to a person, and or you can have a printed paper that shows you, and then you could enter a hotel, you could enter a government building, you could enter a restaurant, and I think this was very, very good because it immediately opened the economy, and it's an application. You just download it into your cell phone, and that's it. One of the good things that we have in Israel, that in Israel we have a public health system, so everyone is covered by the public health system, and we have four what we call like HMOs, which is health management organizations, which provide you services, and everyone has his own doctor, and all the medical record is online. So, of course, it is safe and secured. This is why you need cybersecurity, but everything is online, and the communication between you and your doctor is via, you know, is through the applications. So when they wanted to invite us to be vaccinated, they knew my email address, they knew my telephone number. You know, I got a text saying, please come tomorrow at this time to this place to be vaccinated, and that's it. You didn't need to go anywhere. You didn't need to call anyone. They came to you. I just want to say that we have in Israel today about 600,000 people with Romanian origin. People, you know, like myself, you know, my mother was born in this country. We have here in the delegation many people that their parents or themselves, you know, were born in Romania. So Romania in Israel is perceived as a friendly country. Perceived, many people have roots in Romania. Many people are visiting Romania. And so Romanian people are very welcome to Israel.